I took her out to celebrate our love, our future, our child. She toasted me, smiled, and told her sister she was marrying me only because she was pregnant, and the baby wasn't even mine. What happened next changed everything. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. The morning sunlight spilled through the cafe windows as I stood at the counter waiting for 3 lattes that were taking far too long. Behind me, the hum of conversations and soft jazz filled the air. Normal sounds that would soon burn themselves into memory for all the wrong reasons. My name's Jacob Miller. I'm 30, a software consultant in Austin, Texas. Just 3 days ago, I was planning to marry the woman I thought was my future, Alyssa Carter. We'd been together for 4 years, living in a cozy apartment downtown, and I'd proposed under fairy lights at our favorite rooftop restaurant. 6 months later, we were 2 weeks from our wedding. She was pregnant. Unexpected, yes, but I was thrilled. Terrified, but thrilled. I'd always wanted to be a dad, and when she told me, I bought baby books that same night. She, on the other hand, seemed hesitant, distant. I chalked it up to hormones. Rookie mistake. Alyssa was a marketing strategist, sharp, ambitious, driven. We met at a New Year's Eve party thrown by a mutual friend, and it wasn't fireworks. It was something quieter, deeper, like finally finding someone who listened. Or so I thought. That morning, I was picking up coffee for Alyssa, her younger sister Rachel, and myself while they sat at a table near the window, going over last-minute wedding prep. Centerpieces, guest seating, floral preferences, all the stuff I couldn't care less about but pretended to, because that's what love does. I was 10 feet away, hidden behind a shelf lined with coffee beans and cinnamon sticks. I heard my name. Then I heard her. Rachel's voice was low. I still don't get why you're doing this. Alyssa's laugh was hollow. What choice do I have? Jacob's dependable. He's got insurance, a solid job, a condo. He's safe. Rachel replied, sharper, but you don't love him. That's when Alyssa said it. The words that detonated my life in one breath. Love doesn't pay for diapers. I'm only marrying him because I'm pregnant. And it's not even his baby. My body went cold. I heard nothing else except the roaring in my ears. I stared at the coffees in my shaking hands, trying to make sense of what I just heard. Rachel's eyes darted over Alyssa's shoulder, and then locked with mine. She mouthed it silently. He's behind you. I walked to their table slowly, set the coffees down with deliberate care. DNA test time, I said. Alyssa's face froze. She opened her mouth. Tears came instantly. Jacob, wait, I'll wait for the results, I said flatly. Until then, you can talk to my lawyer. I turned and walked away from the life I'd been building, one lie at a time. I didn't even take my car. I walked 10 blocks in a daze and ended up outside my older brother Ben's house. He opened the door, took one look at me, and wordlessly handed me a whiskey. You all right? He asked. No, I said, but I will be. The next day, I went back to the apartment while Alyssa was at work. Her texts had started already, dozens of them. Calls too. I ignored everyone. I was there to grab my things and cancel the wedding vendors. Lost some deposits, but it was worth every penny to get out. I noticed her laptop open on the counter. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I did it. Her Facebook Messenger was pulled up. A conversation with someone named Derek. Alyssa, I'm sorry I told you I was handling it. The wedding's in 10 days. It's almost over. Derek, over. Alyssa, I told you. If you go through with this, I'm done. Alyssa, once the baby's here, things can change. Jacob's not forever. Dated 3 days before the coffee shop. Derek worked with her. I remembered hearing his name before. Now I was staring at proof that she wasn't just baby trapping me. She was trying to keep her lover in her back pocket. I took photos of everything. When Alyssa came home early and saw me packing, she broke down. You can't just walk away, she screamed. I laughed. Watch me. She pivoted quickly, from tears to venom. You think you're some prize? You're boring. You're just a placeholder. Derek was passion. Your paperwork. I zipped my suitcase calmly. Then, I guess paperwork's about to file a restraining order. Her final shot. That baby's still legally yours. You'll be on the birth certificate, and if you leave, you'll be paying for it for 18 years. Not if I have anything to say about it. And I did. Beth, Ben's wife, is a family law paralegal. She'd already made a list. cancel joint accounts, secure documents, and above all, get tested. Because if she cheated once, there's no telling what else she lied about. But the most important piece came from the state laws she showed me. If I could contest paternity before the birth, I had a fighting chance. I wasn't going to be another man paying for someone else's mistakes. I was going to be the man who exposed them. 2 days after the coffee shop betrayal, I wasn't just licking wounds. I was plotting justice. Ben and Beth were my backbone. While I tried to concentrate on remote work from their spare bedroom, Beth was connecting dots like a tactical analyst in a war room. She called in a favor with her boss's brother, a shark of a family lawyer named Grant Holloway. When I told Grant everything, he didn't blink. "You just dodged a grenade, Jacob," he said. "But we're not done. Now we go on offense." He didn't mean emotionally. He meant legally. The next move was precision. See, Alyssa's messages to Derek gave us all the ammunition we needed. First, we subpoenaed her social accounts to preserve any records. Second, we got serious about Derek. I remembered Alyssa mentioning him months ago. Derek from marketing. She said he was married once, but now single, and just a friend at work. But Beth, our bloodhound, found his LinkedIn in under 10 minutes. Derek Monroe, senior strategist at Stratix Media, the same firm Alyssa interned for last year. The timeline? January retreat. That's when she came back acting strange. Distant. She'd said she was tired, and I believed her. I even made her soup that night. But now the dots formed a picture I could not unsee. I needed one more piece. So I did something that still haunts me. I texted Rachel. "Me, I need to ask you something. And I need the truth." Rachel, "Jacob, I'm sorry for everything." I tried to warn her. "Me, who's the father?" She hesitated. Then, Rachel, "Derek," from her job. She told me it happened at the company retreat. I thanked her, said I wasn't mad at her. She replied, "You didn't deserve any of this. You were always too good for her." I forwarded it all to Grant. His voice was calm, but I could feel the energy through the line. "This is very, very good." That afternoon, he drafted something vicious, a formal notice of intent to establish paternity and seek child support, aimed not at me, but at Derek Monroe. It was clear, it was cold, and it was legal thunder. In simple words, we told Derek, "The moment this child is born, we'll be demanding a DNA test, and if it matches, you're on the hook for 18 years. A private process server delivered it to Derek at his gym the very next morning. Meanwhile, Alyssa was spiraling. She sent me an email, not a text, a cold, typed-out formal notice addressed to Jacob Miller, acknowledged father of my unborn child. She even CC'd her best friend who'd recently passed the bar, as if some fresh graduate could scare me with fake legalese. I forwarded it to Grant. He laughed. "She just admitted in writing she's naming you as the father fraudulently. That's not just it's a gift." My reply to Alyssa was surgical. Per advice of my attorney, I am formally contesting any claim of paternity and will pursue a court-ordered DNA test. Any documentation listing my name without consent will be met with legal consequences. All future communication is to go through legal representation. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. "Alyssa." I didn't answer. 1 hour later, Derek did. He'd just been served. He lit up Alyssa's phone with texts and missed calls that I only saw later through screenshots. "Derek, what the hell did you do? You told me this wouldn't come back to me." "Derek, you said it was handled. You told me Jacob didn't suspect anything." "Derek, I could lose everything, Alyssa." And then, the coup de grace. Beth, in full angel of revenge mode, created an anonymous email account and sent a simple tip to Stratix Media's HR department. It included dates of the January retreat, names, Alyssa Carter and Derek Monroe, screenshots proving a relationship between a senior employee and an intern, a direct violation of company policy. The next day, Rachel texted me, "Rachel, you're not going to believe this. HR just called Alyssa in. She's been fired. Derek's been suspended." It worked. In 3 days, Alyssa had lost her fiancé, her job, her side piece, who now wanted nothing to do with her. And she had no idea that I was only just getting started. Because justice wasn't enough, I wanted her to feel what I felt. That night, I drove past our old apartment one last time. Lights were off, probably crying, probably scheming. But me? I was somewhere else entirely, planning a revenge that didn't just enter plans, but made her regret ever trying to rewrite mine. And the best part? It was all perfectly legal. It had been 6 days since my entire life exploded in that cafe, and while Alyssa's world crumbled one call, one email, and one lost paycheck at a time, I was finally breathing again. I moved into a small studio apartment on the east side. It wasn't much, still smelled like primer and carpet glue, but it was mine. No lies in the corners. No fake smiles in the kitchen. Just peace. That peace, however, was short-lived. Thursday night, Ben called from the video doorbell. "She's here," he said. "Who? Her." I didn't even need a name. I could hear her in the background, Alyssa, crying, wailing, the works. The kind of display only someone cornered and unraveling could perform. I imagined mascara streaking down her cheeks, tangled hair, a trembling voice rehearsed for maximum sympathy. Ben didn't open the door, but he did record everything. "I love him," she screamed to the porch light. "I made a mistake. Jacob, please. Please." I watched the footage from my phone. I didn't even feel anger. Not anymore. Just numb. Rachel had been quietly updating me since the fallout. She said Alyssa was spiraling, fired, blocked by Derek, disowned by her company, and worst of all, disappointed by her own parents. Her father reportedly told her, "You've embarrassed this family." Ouch. But Alyssa's worst nightmare was only beginning. She couldn't afford our apartment alone. The lease required 60 days notice to break. She tried putting up half her stuff for sale online, probably hoping to scrape together the rent. And then came the message. Not from her phone, from her mother's. "Unknown number. Can we please talk? Just 5 minutes." I should have ignored it, but I didn't. I agreed to meet her at a public Starbucks. I arrived early and sat near the door. She walked in wearing sweatpants, no makeup, hair pulled up in a bun, and that same faux vulnerability expression I'd seen her weaponize for 4 years. But this time, something was different. She looked beaten, not just exhausted, but lost. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, her voice low. I need to talk to you without lawyers, without yelling." "You've got 5 minutes," I replied, my tone flat, cold. She nodded slowly and sat down. "I know I hurt you," she began. "There's no excuse. I was scared. I panicked when I found out I was pregnant. You weren't scared. You were strategic." "No. I mean, maybe at first. But Derek, he was exciting. He made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. You were just comfortable." I almost laughed. "So your plan was to marry me, let me raise his child, and what? Just keep pretending?" "No. I thought I could make it work. I thought maybe, eventually, I'd learn to love you again. So love me enough to lie for 18 years. She looked down. Silence. And then came the twist I wasn't expecting. Her eyes met mine, brimming with tears, and she whispered, "I lied to Rachel." I blinked. "What?" "I lied to her. The baby isn't Derek's. It's yours." I stared at her like she'd lost her mind. "You told your sister otherwise. You told me otherwise." "I know. I wanted drama. I was scared of being boring. I hated the idea of settling down too early. I said those things to feel powerful, like I still had control over something." "You mean you fabricated an affair? Invented paternity drama for clout? For emotional control?" She hesitated. "Yes, but it got out of hand. And I swear, Jacob, the baby is yours. Let's just do a DNA test when it's born and you'll see. And if I hadn't overheard you, what then?" She stayed quiet. "You'd have let me believe the baby was Derek's. You'd have let me walk away, thinking I wasn't the father, just so you could keep some twisted fantasy alive." "It wasn't like that. It's exactly like that." I stood up. "You want the truth, Alyssa? I don't care who the father is anymore. I'm not coming back. You lied, cheated, manipulated everyone. Whether this baby's mine or not, you're not." Her voice cracked. "Please, don't make me do this alone. You already are." I left, blocked her mother's number, and finally, felt nothing. That weekend, the final pieces locked into place. Rachel texted. Rachel. She showed up at Derek's building. He called the cops. Got a restraining order. Karma, served hot. And then Beth gave me the final update. The judge had approved our paternity contest request. No matter what Alyssa wrote on that birth certificate, I wasn't bound to it until a court-ordered test confirmed it. I was legally protected. And she was alone in the wreckage she built. A week had passed since that final Starbucks meeting, since I watched the woman I once planned to marry, try to flip her own betrayal into a tragic love story. It should have felt like closure, but it didn't. Closure implies something clean, something final. What I had wasn't closure. It was a crater where a future used to be. For years of memories were now forensic evidence in the trial of my own stupidity. I was still waking up at 3 a.m. with phantom plans, baby names, stroller brands, wedding speeches. It was like grieving someone who never died, just changed into someone else. But grief is a slow burn. Revenge? That's lightning. And I was about to strike again. Monday morning, Beth texted me, "You ready to finish this?" I was. She and Grant had been busy, meticulous, methodical. They'd been building something behind the scenes. Not just legal protection, but something more theatrical. Something that would do more than remove me from Alyssa's life. Something that would remove the version of herself she tried to sell the world. We were going public. Now don't get me wrong. I wasn't some guy out to humiliate his ex on social media. But when someone has spent months manipulating, lying, and trying to destroy your name with false paternity claims, you're allowed to take control of the narrative. With Grant's legal oversight, Beth helped me file a preemptive public denial of paternity, a formal statement that could be released alongside the court filings. Worded carefully, sanitized for legal safety, but clear. No names were mentioned, but those who knew would know. It included acknowledgement of an engagement ended due to infidelity, public withdrawal from all parental assumptions regarding an unborn child, legal notice that any documents listing me as father would be contested by court. We sent it to a private mailing list, a mutual circle of friends, Alyssa's family, and vendors still try and contact us. It was like dropping a match in dry grass. By Wednesday, Alyssa's phone was ringing with questions. By Friday, her mother had called Rachel in tears asking what had really happened. And by Sunday, I got this message from a name I never expected. Derek Monroe. "Jacob, I know you have no reason to respond, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. She lied to both of us. She told me she was on birth control. She told me you knew. I believed her. I shouldn't have. She used us. Both of us." I didn't respond, not because I hated him, but because I no longer needed anything from him. He was a footnote in her destruction. But Alyssa, she was still trying to write new chapters. That same week, she showed up at my building. Not my apartment. My job. My office phone rang with the receptionist's voice. "There's a woman here to see you. Says she's your fiancé." "I don't have one," I replied. 5 minutes later, security escorted her off the premises. I wasn't afraid. I was done being the safe guy who cleaned up other people's messes. But I wasn't done yet. Not until she felt what I felt. The opportunity came 2 weeks later. Ben and Beth were throwing a small cookout. Close friends, old neighbors, and some extended family. I hadn't planned on going until I heard Alyssa's parents were invited and attending. I showed up late with no warning, and I brought a guest. Her name was Lily. No, this isn't some rebound love story. Lily was a friend of Beth's, a pediatric nurse who'd gone through her own ugly breakup a year prior. We'd met a few times, and there was no romance between us. But she agreed to show up as my date. And when we walked into that backyard holding hands, smiling, calm, healthy, the look on Alyssa's father's face said everything. He pulled me aside. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. "You don't," I replied. "She does." He nodded slowly, then said something I didn't expect. "She's not living with us anymore. She refused therapy. Keeps lying to everyone. I told her until she owns what she did, she's on her own." I thanked him, politely, but I didn't smile, because I wasn't celebrating. I was surviving. The final twist came the following morning. A voicemail from Rachel. She moved back in with Derek. For one night. He kicked her out before sunrise. That was it. The circle closed. The affair that destroyed everything. The fantasy that cost her job, family, fiancé, and maybe child support for 18 years, ended in a one-night exile. She was now couch-hopping between friends, avoiding rent collectors, and posting cryptic quotes on Instagram about loyalty and healing energy. Irony never sleeps. But I finally could. 3 months had passed. 3 whole months since the coffee shop. Since the crash. Since the unraveling of Alyssa Carter's perfect little fiction. And finally, life was quiet. I had unpacked every box in my studio, gotten back into morning runs, Made peace with my furniture being a mismatched collection of Craigslist finds and Goodwill luck. The city didn't feel heavy anymore. The shadows and familiar places didn't whisper old memories like they used to. But just as I started settling into this fragile new normal, the universe handed me one last letter. A handwritten envelope, folded into my mailbox with no return address. I opened it. I almost didn't, but I did. The handwriting was unmistakably hers. Slanted, rushed, but still elegant in a way that had once pulled me in. Inside, 2 pages, front and back, neatly lined. It wasn't a plea. It was a confession. Jacob, you don't have to read this. I wouldn't blame you if you threw it away the second you saw my name. But I'm writing it anyway, because I owe you what I never gave. The truth. I was never going to make it work. Not with you. Not with Derek. Not with anyone. Because I wasn't honest with myself about what I wanted. I chased attention like air. I built stories in my head because reality was too quiet. You gave me peace, and I mistook that for boredom. I thought being loved unconditionally meant I could do anything and you'd stay. I pushed limits, crossed lines, lied to Rachel, lied to Derek, lied to you. The truth about the baby? I don't even know anymore. I told so many lies I started believing whichever one hurt less that day. I was scared it was yours, and I was scared it wasn't. So I made sure you'd never want to find out. But you did, because you were better than me, smarter, stronger. I'm not writing to ask you to come back. I know that door is locked forever. I'm writing to say, you were the best thing in my life, and I destroyed it. I've started therapy, not because I want to win you back, but because I don't want to become this story forever. I hope you find someone who knows what they have when they have you. Alyssa, I read it once, then again, and then I shredded it. Not out of hate, out of mercy, because that wasn't my weight to carry anymore. A few weeks later, I got a call from Grant, my lawyer. DNA test results came in, he said. I held my breath. She named you as the father on the birth certificate, just like she said she would. But the test, you're not the father. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for months. Derek, highly likely. We served him again last week. His legal team's going to try and settle quietly. Let them. I hung up and stared at the ceiling of my studio. It wasn't joy I felt. It wasn't victory. It was peace. Uncomplicated, undeserved peace. And then something strange happened. I smiled, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about revenge or heartbreak or betrayal. I was thinking about the future. 6 months later, I was sitting at a park cafe on a sunny Sunday afternoon when Lily, yes, that Lily, walked by and waved. We'd stayed in touch, as friends, at first. Then coffee turned into conversation. Conversation turned into laughing. Laughing turned into walking the city together, like two people discovering something new inside something old. She wasn't a rebound. She was a reminder. That love doesn't have to start with fireworks. Sometimes it starts with healing. Sometimes it begins where pain used to live. Alyssa? She moved to a smaller town. Took a marketing job for a company no one's heard of. Rachel said she was quiet now. Not posting. Not partying. Just existing. Maybe that's enough for her now. Maybe not. But it's not my story anymore. It's hers. Mine. Mine's still being written. And for the first time since that cafe, since that coffee burned my soul, I'm not afraid to turn the next page. Final thoughts. To anyone watching who's ever been lied to, manipulated, or betrayed, know this. You are not what happened to you. You are what you build from it. Trust takes time. Healing takes longer. But peace is waiting, just beyond the wreckage.